Hey, what's up guys? We are back again to discover the new best decks in Clash Royale. Using your suggestions from the comment section, we're going to be exploring a ton of new meta strategies and finding out if they're trash or treasure. I'm going to rate every deck that I play and give substitutions if there's any room for improvement. Let's go jump straight into some games, try to find some new creative combos, and make your guys' decks better in the process. Thanks to everyone that's using creator code SirTag to make all of the daily videos possible. We're already off to an adventure with Monkey's favorite deck comprised of Royal Hogs and Skeleton Barrel. So the first deck of the day, we're going to be playing against someone that is about to reach 7,500 trophies. So this is going to be a true test because this guy is going to be playing his best and try to achieve the highest arena in Clash Royale. So I'm going to Ice Spirit here, and with our deck, it's pretty unfortunate that we don't have a big spell. So if I don't get a lot of damage with like a Skeleton Barrel and then also my Royal Hogs, it might be some sticky situation. Also, this guy's gonna have a fast card cycle. He's gonna end up having Bomb Tower, and he'll probably have Log as well. So this is one of the decks that I was scared about playing against. Imagine playing against someone that has Log for your Skeleton Barrel and a Bomb Tower for your Royal Hogs. Well, fortunately for us, the Fly Machine snuck through. It's kind of a win condition from that perspective as well, but you can't rely against good players like making mistakes. So it's not necessarily like the easiest thing to get value from. Wait, are we able to Ice Spirit here and then go in for a cannon on the Hog Rider for a really good elixir trade? Oh, I thought that the Ice Spirit was going to chain onto the Hog Rider as well. Jeez, this is actually the worst matchup I could have gotten. The guy has Earthquake for our cannon. We don't end up having a great way of breaking through his Bomb Tower because if we go Royal Hogs, it's going to be a -1 trade, and he full counters the piggies. So I think I want to go Skeleton Barrel because it's going to soak up the Ice Spirit, and then we're going to force out maybe a Bomb Tower here to go and pull. And if this forces out the Bomb Tower, maybe we can make this work. If he's smart and he saves his Log for that, yeah, then we're not going to get any damage. So this is a very big problem for me right now. I'm hoping that he thinks that the Skeletons are going to be more than enough. So maybe I can go for like Royal Hogs, and I can go Fly Machine on the right-hand side. So I'm going to do that when I'm exactly at 9 elixirs, so then we can maybe get the Fly Machine to lock onto the tower because it'll probably Bomb Tower in the middle. And then if the Fly Machine locks onto the tower, we can win the game. That's our game plan. That's our strategy. That's how we want to win this. We can't do anything else. We can't go same lane as our opponent because we're going to lose from that perspective. But I was able to make sure that he had to spend all of his elixir on defending that with Royal Hogs. And after dropping the Giant Skeleton, he didn't have any extra elixir left over. So sometimes I guess you can cheese your opponent if they're down a lot and you're at 9 elixir and maybe they're at 4. These are few and far in between, and the game is still not over yet, right? Like, I still have to take his tower, and I don't have Rocket, and I don't have Fireball. So this match is really scary from that perspective. I think if I had Fireball instead of one of the small spells, it would make the matchup feel a little bit more fair, or maybe even an Earthquake. Like, imagine removing Log and having Earthquake in this deck so then I can break through buildings a little bit more effectively. I think that would be a pretty good change, because then I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, his Bomb Tower at every single twist and turn. We're going to go in for a Royal Delivery here, and then we're going to Log. I'm expecting him to go in for an Earthquake, so I want to be able to kill the Archer Queen with that. Wow, that was so well played on our end. That was so scary, too. I don't know if you guys saw what was about to happen, but if I went in for a cannon, that would have gotten Earthquake, right? And we wouldn't have been able to kill the Archer Queen either because I wouldn't have had Elixir for the Royal Delivery and the Log. So we spaced that out pretty well, but at the same time, I'm literally going to do 77 chip damage to his tower at all points. This is so scuffed. No. I need to go in for like a Dark Prince to make sure that we can go and pull the Giant Skeleton and hopefully have the Archer Queen target onto that. Still scary. Still extraordinarily awkward, but it is what we have. I'm going to go for a Royal Delivery on top of the Archer Queen. He's going to go invisible, and he's going to go on the other side. That's interesting. I did not expect him to do that. Even if he goes in for an Earthquake, I don't think it's going to matter as much because we can go for an Ice Spirit on the Skeletons and also the Hog Rider and then minimize the amount of damage. Of course, he's going to go in for another obnoxious Bomb Tower, and he is just completely spamming me at this point. So yeah, if I lose, it's definitely because the deck is just not allowing me to get offensive damage right now. I'm going to try to go in for like a Skeleton Barrel here and a Fly Machine and try to cheese him, and maybe I can get lucky, but it's, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I got lucky. Wow. I was like, maybe I can get lucky and the Flying Machine will mysteriously target the tower. And somehow, some way, we got bailed out of a situation that I had no business winning. Our outplay at the start and luck at the end was the way that we won. So there are definite changes needed for the deck. If I were to play this competitively against someone with a similar skill level, I would lose almost every time in that matchup. You need a big spell to finish off games and reliably break through buildings. So I would substitute out the Log for an Earthquake or a Fireball. The deck as is will lose to every cycle deck, so I gotta rate it a 6 out of 10. But if you add a big spell like Earthquake or Fireball, maybe I could raise it to a 7.5. Anik is cooking up something that I've never seen before with Mega Knight, Mirror, and Witch. Let's try it out. All right, we are playing against another person that's trying to reach 7,500. I am literally the final boss of the last Clash Royale arena. I'm the worst type of person. But it's okay. We are running a kind of crazy deck. You know, you've got Valkyrie and you've got Mega Knight in the same deck. At first glance, that is the first thing that I want to fix. You cannot run Mega Knight and Valkyrie in the same deck. 99% of the time, it just wouldn't make that much sense unless you're running a graveyard deck and you need multiple small tanks. That would work where you're like, oh, maybe I want the Valkyrie if my Mega Knight isn't in cycle. That would be kind of cool. But you don't have a graveyard that you need to tank for. Instead, you're going to have a way more aggressive deck with Goblin Barrel and a faster cycle where you want to be spamming Goblin Barrels on the towers. And then also just making sure that your opponent is always forced to defend you. But since the Valkyrie moves so slowly and the Mega Knight already does a lot of splash damage, you don't necessarily need the Valkyrie in the deck. So for that perspective, I would 100% sub it out for a Prince. And if you make that change and you put in the Prince, you're going to be a much happier person. Okay, so he tries to go in for a King Tower activation with the Tornado, and because we knew that it was going to be a Splash Yard Graveyard deck with Skeleton King, we identified that, and we're like, that's not going to happen. We're not falling for that trap card, and we made sure that he had to miss it. Also, we're going to make him miss the Bard Barrel as well. If you guys didn't know, a mirrored up Goblin Barrel usually is going to do a lot more damage, and even the Skeleton King can't one-tap the Goblins. Holy heck! Dude, I love the fact that mirrored Goblin Barrel is in this deck. So, is it creative? Yes. Is it fun to play? Yes. Could it be a little bit better without the Valkyrie? 100%. Maybe there's some other changes that I would make to this deck. Thinking about it right now. I think if I played against someone that has really good defenses and they were an extremely good player, it might be hard for me to ever get value with my Rocket unless I'm trying to finish off the game. So I would probably sub out the Rocket for a Skeleton Barrel. So then maybe I can bait out my opponent's Log or Bard Barrel or whatever small spell they have a little bit more effectively. And if I were able to do that, then I would get more value with my Goblin Barrel and maybe go in for more Mirror Goblin Barrels and get more value from that perspective. So I think I would definitely sub out the Rocket for a Skeleton Barrel if I was wanting to play more aggressive. You could maybe even sub it out for like a Bandit or a Royal Ghost or a Dark Prince as well. So you get double Princes up in here with this deck. Jeez, this is going pretty well. I want to go in for a Rocket right now just because I want to be able to get more damage on the tower. It's not necessarily like the best play in the world, but I think it will work out. It's going to be unlikely that he's going to get too much value with the Baby Dragon because we are able to arrows on that and also clean up the Graveyard Skeletons. And I need to start the Rocket cycle right now if I want to win this game. I really wish I had Skeleton Barrel, man. I would be able to play a little bit more safe and, you know, meander through and keep his elixir lower so then he wouldn't be able to go in for graveyards ever. So he's going to set up another Skeleton King. I think this is going to be okay for me if I just go in for double Mega Knights. I would prefer to do that, and then the Valkyrie's kind of like dead weight, right? Like Mega Knights are able to bounce all over the map, bounce through, and give me more value. That's what's up. So that should be pretty good. I'm going to go for a Valkyrie as well for added measure. Look at the amount of splash damage that I have. Isn't this absurd? This is kind of crazy. I don't think I've seen this amount of splash damage in a long time. So I'm going to go for arrows here because I want to be able to clean up the graveyard skeletons from the Tombstone. And then, yeah, wow, it's just like skeletons everywhere. Skeleton King, Graveyard, and then Tombstone Skeletons. It's hard to decipher where they're coming from at this point. Okay, so I need to go in for a Skeleton Army here, and then I can last second go for a Valkyrie because I don't have any small spells to be able to kill that. I need to go for a Valkyrie on the right-hand side because it's going to be able to swirl around and kill all of the Skeleton King Skeletons. I think I can Rocket on that again since the Ice Wizard will guaranteed die. It's worth it because we are going to get a lot of damage, and we might be able to start to Rocket Cyclone him soon. But geez, man, I'm literally playing with fire every time that I do that because I need good elixir trades. He's going to go in for a graveyard, so we're going to try to stop that with a witch if possible. I'm going to try to go in for like another witch here as well. So fortunately for us, we are spawning a lot of skeletons, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Jeez, look at the damage that he's getting, guys. Oh my gosh, this is really scary. He's also going to go in for a poison. That's going to be able to clip both of our witches. I need to go in for a knight here and then go in for the Goblin Barrel off to the side, so hopefully he misses it with the Bard Barrel. He doesn't even have Bard Barrel on cycle, so what is he doing? He's going Skeleton King. Wait, that was able to completely clean up. Oh my gosh. If we arrows, how much does Mirror Rocket do? I think it does enough. I think it actually does do enough. 694, that is more than we need. Let's freaking go. The Baby Dragon isn't going to put it down in time, and we walk away with a win. Wow, Rocket Cycle is absolutely filthy. But in all honesty, I much prefer Skeleton Barrel because as you guys can see at the end, that game was close. And if I hadn't played perfectly on defense, it would have been a little bit more miserable. When you're able to be on offense all the time with Skeleton Barrels and Goblin Barrels and Princes instead of that Valkyrie, your opponent will never get opportunities to go in for graveyards and play aggressive because if they do, they're not going to have Elixir to defend. Your Skeleton Barrels, Princes, Mega Knights, and Goblins have damaging potential that can take towers in seconds. But the Valkyrie and Rocket slow down the game and make it way more sketchy. So as is, I would probably rate the deck a 6.5 out of 10. If you made my changes, I could definitely see it being a 7 out of 10. Next Gen was able to win a couple classic challenges using a fun troll deck. Let's see if this troll can evolve to become treasure. Let's get it. This guy is a part of an esport clan, so he's a certifiable tryhard. And your trolley deck was definitely inspired by B-Rad. You're gonna have a speedy balloon strategy, and if you guys don't know how this deck works, is you use the skeleton barrel in the exact same spot as the balloon, and you drop your skeleton barrel first, and then you drop your balloon immediately after in the same spot, and it speeds up your balloon to arrive faster on the tower, so then you can get a lot more damage, maybe evade your opponent's spells, or bypass buildings because they're not expecting the balloon to move that fast. It's pretty fun to do, and I am excited to show you. So this guy is probably going to have another graveyard deck, and he misplaced his tombstone, so we are going to be ready for it. We want to drop our skeleton barrel a little bit lower, so then we can just double drop it there. If you guys notice, the balloon should bypass the tombstone. It's going super fast. Watch it go. Watch it rush. Yo, he's poisoning on defense. He's freaking out. This is exactly what we wanted. This is what we needed in life. Obviously, I still had to prioritize defending the Phoenix because it would have done so much damage to my tower. But in later stages of the game, when you're able to afford the freeze with that's where it's at. That's where it really pops off. That's where you get the excessive value. He's graveyarding, but he doesn't have poison. So watch the bats. 2 elixir for 5 elixir. The massive positive elixir trades that we need. Wait, I can bait out the tombstone with this mini P.E.K.K.A because the bats are going to go behind and they're going to force out even more elixir. Let's go. I told you guys we would bait out the tombstone. Without that in cycle, I don't think he has an adequate defense for this at all. We could actually freeze with that if we wanted, but you know, it's a speedy balloon deck for the reason. It's not actually going in for mini P.E.K.K.A freeze. We're not here to show you guys that. So it's not very intuitive that you would drop the skeleton barrel first when the balloon is in front. But trust me, drop your skeleton barrel first, then your balloon, and that's where you get your maximum value. So I love that the Phoenix also gets pushed back. If you guys noticed that, the Phoenix got pushed back by the skeleton barrel as well. So any anti-air cards that they drop will get knocked back by the skeleton barrel popping, allowing your balloon to get maximum value. And for the rest of the game, this guy's just going to be in pain. So as you guys saw, bait out your opponent's building, rush through with your skeleton barrel balloon, cheese your opponent, and win. Seems simple. Seems really good, right? Well, there's a caveat here. If you play against Rocket, they can just rocket your speedy balloon. You're screwed. You're not going to win then. If you play against 3 Musketeers Elixir Collector, you have no way of damaging an Elixir Collector in the deck, so they get a huge Elixir advantage, and you also lose. What if you're playing against a good graveyard player that doesn't mess up and doesn't give you any opportunities? Well, you can lose there as well. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of potential of this deck working, and it's really fun to play. It's kind of gimmicky, though, as our homie said in the initial introduction of the strategy. So it's a good deck, but it's not the best. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, and if you want to play it, you'll probably get a lot of wins. However, it's not going to be a surprisingly awesome strategy that you can use in every single matchup, because if you try to play it against Rocket Logbait or you play against 3 Musketeers, you're going to lose every single time. GG and well played to our opponent, and it's cool to be able to beat an esports player with a dirty Skeleton King graveyard deck when he has so many good answers to us. With Phoenix and Zappies and Tombstone, he still wasn't able to pull off the defense against the balloon, and we were able to pull off the win. If you wanted to make the deck even more gimmicky, you could replace Rage with Log, so then your mini P.E.K.K.A after killing the Tombstone skeletons would get raged up, and it would do so much more damage. Also, Rage plus Freeze immediately finishes off Goblins, Dark Goblins, and Minions, allowing your balloon to get even more value. Log gives you a decent matchup against Logbait, but if you're gonna lose to Logbait anyway, why not have more fun with Rage in every other matchup? Super gimmicky strategy that I would play for fun all the time. Gotta rate it a 7 out of 10 though for actual reliability. Sam loves tricking opponents to defend with units in front of the tower that line up perfectly with his magic archer. If you don't have Goldenite, use Bandit instead. It's time to test out the strength of his deck lineup. Hey, we got a game against Liam. What's up, Liam? Are you gonna jump into this game like a leopard and try to spam all your stuff at the river really quick? Or are you just going to chill? I guess you're going to chill. So I'm going to follow up with the Royal Ghost in the back and do that as their starting play. Usually with this deck, since you've got so many great synergies with Tornado, we don't really want to be wasting that. We want to activate King Tower, or we want to pair that with our Magic Archer or our Goldenite. This deck is really good, by the way. The only change that I can make right off the surface without even playing it is probably subbing out either the Fireball or the Royal Ghost for a Giant Skeleton. So I'm looking at the deck and I'm like, wait, I don't actually have that many defensive cards in the deck. I might end up having the Electro Wizard for stun, and I kind of have a scuffed building with the Goblin Drill, but is it actually that valuable? Probably not, right? Like, it's not the best sequence of defensive possibilities if our opponent's building up a big push. I would much rather have the Giant Skeleton. And since you have Tornado, and maybe some units are running away from the Giant Skeleton, you're like, nope, Not today. You pull them back into the Giant Skeleton Bomb, and you pop off with value. So that's the reason why I would add Giant Skeleton. If you want to replace either Fireball or Royal Ghost, feel free to do either of those. Royal Ghost because you already have splash damage with the Golden Knight ability and the Magic Archer, and Fireball because you don't necessarily need it since you already have a lot of mechanisms of getting damage with the Golden Knight and then also the Magic Archer and the Goblin Drill. So you have a lot of win conditions. Also, did you guys notice how he dropped his Lumberjack super far up because he was so scared? He's just petrified of me. Also, Lumberjack, it's easier to activate King Tower now. Even though the Lumberjack didn't get a hit on my tower, you can use your Tornado to pull it close and then use the Rage since the Rage does damage, and then the Rage will activate King Tower for you. So even though the Lumberjack didn't get a hit, because the Rage did damage now after the change, King Tower activations are easy. So really cool. I love doing that against Lumberjacks at all types of HP. Not just like the full HP Lumberjacks like we had to before. We were like, oh man, I can't ever damage down a Lumberjack because I need to activate King Tower. Fortunately, those days are long gone. All right, so we're going to go in for a Golden Knight here, and I'm going to go for an Electro Wizard as well. I think that the Electro Wizard should be able to reset his Inferno Dragon. No, that was so smart of him. Bro, why are you intelligent? You barely tickled my Electro Wizard and were able to finish it off with a Fireball. Okay, so another play that we want to do is we want to go in for the Goblin Drill and then Fire Spirit. So then any units that you defend the drill with will get splashed onto by the Fire Spirit, giving us extra value. I don't think the Golden Knight is going to be able to kill everything, but maybe it can dash onto the tower if I'm lucky. Oh my gosh. Yo, am I lucky or nah? This is incredible because we can go in for a Royal Ghost again and then go in for a high Electro Wizard and say hello to more value. And maybe Tornado if we absolutely need to. I think I do just to guarantee that we're able to kill the rest of the Ram Rider. I am going to go for a Fire Spirit to get some extra value on top of the Lumberjack. With the King Tower activated, we only take 2 shots. So we're up like 800 damage. This deck is so cool, man. This is by far one of my favorite decks that I've played in a while. We're able to go in for like a Fireball and all of your stuff that you cycle in the back as well, which is a nice added benefit. So maybe I would sub out the Royal Ghost on second thought. I'm going to go in for an extraordinarily good Goblin Drill because I think he's not going to be able to Fireball everything at once. And then we can go in for Electro Wizard off to the side. Make sure that we want to go in for the Fire Spirit whenever we get the chance, just to make sure that the Golden Knight doesn't die. Oh, no. I was thinking about dropping the Electro Wizard up a little bit further, and I realized that that would have been a little bit better for us. The Electro Wizard needs to give us some damage. We need a little bit of love. Come on. No, he's going to go and shut us down with the Bandit. Stealing our joy. My dude, you're ruthless out here. I don't like the fact that the Goblin Drill, again, is the only card that I can really rely on defense right now against big pushes. I would have loved to drop a Giant Skeleton that's super thick and stops everything really reliably. So that would be one of my few changes with this deck for sure. I'm going to Fireball on top of this just to guarantee that his Magic Archer dies. I'm going to Fire Spirit to keep up the aggression and make sure that he's at a limited amount of Elixir. But this guy's been playing super well. Jeez, he's just always keeping up the offense. I'm going to go in for the Drill in a different spot, and hopefully the Bandit doesn't dash. Oh, come on, it still did. He's always going, he's going for Ice Golem, so I can't go in for the Magic Archer and get too much value. He's even making a prediction with a Barb Barrel on my Magic Archer. Fortunately for us, we didn't fall for that play. We can go for the Magic Archer here. We can use our Tornado, Fireball everything together, go in for the Golden Knight, and hopefully lock onto the tower. No! It dashed on a dying card instead! Oh, that is definitely my fault, but it's all good. We can go in for a Goblin Drill here just to make sure that the Ram Rider doesn't charge. And then we can go in for a Golden Knight after he decides to Fireball. I'm pretty confident that we're okay on defense because the Goblins are going to be able to hold the door for the Inferno Dragon. I also want to go in for the Golden Knight ability so we can get out of harm's way so that Inferno Dragon doesn't ruin us. Of course, it still does. Feels bad, man. With Tornado and Fireball on everything at once. And then I think I can go in for an Electro Wizard up top. 18 seconds remaining. We have to hold the door, dudes. We have to hold the door. Please, don't let him get any more. I'm going to go in for a Goblin Drill aggressively, and since we have Tornado, maybe we can just pull everything back, go in for a Royal Ghost here, and then Fireball and just guarantee the win. So the best thing about the deck is its defensive capabilities at the very end of the game, being able to just stop your opponents in their tracks with Tornado, Goblin Drill, and then Fireball and Electro Wizard. That's kind of cool. I do like that. Pretty fun game against an extremely good player. And the dude we played against was pretty good too. He finished 4,000 in the world. So I would have to rate this deck an 8 out of 10. The only thing I would change is the Giant Skeleton for Fireball or Royal Ghost, and I think that would make the deck a little bit better. Probably an 8.5 out of 10 for me if you made that change. Toxic got to top 1,000 in the world using his own unique Electro Giant deck. I have a feeling this is going to be incredibly toxic. All right, so jumping into the game. So you guys know the deal. We are running a top tier deck from someone that finished 1,000 in the world. So it's obviously going to be pretty good, as you would expect, right? We'll see how good it is, though. So we're going to go Goblin Gang, and we're going to follow up with the Golden Knight. After talking to Toxic for a little bit, he told me to save the Minion Horde. Make sure that you realize what your opponent's deck is, and then unleash the Minion Horde with your Electro Giant when they're least expecting it with all of their counters out of hand. That is one of those few cards that you just do not want to drop ever. Jeez, are you serious? You're gonna go golem at the bridge? Is this the way that you want to play Clash Royale? You just want to play Russian roulette and see what happens. Jeez. Okay, so we know that the Hunter is going to be able to retarget onto the Phoenix, but I don't know if it's going to die. Oh, it just died immediately to the golem death damage. I probably need to go in for a minion horde here because we don't want the Phoenix to respawn, and that's the only way that we can kill it. So sometimes you're forced to drop your minion horde, which is unfortunate if the guy's got arrows, but he allocated so much elixir that he might be screwed. If you think about it, a minion horde behind an electric giant, if your opponent's only got tornado or they've got snowball, is not able to kill the skill horde. So we're in a really good spot in this game. I think if he goes in for one more big... Oh, I was going to say, if he goes in for one more big push, we're going to go rush other side with a Goblin Gang and a Miner. But this man just dug his way out of the game by lightning our King Tower. The unpredictability with this deck can net you some easy wins ridiculously quickly. That minion horde had no counter from our opponent, and he just did not want to play the game afterward. So I can see how you climbed all the way up to top 1,000 in the world using this deck. It's got a super strong synergy to bait out your opponent's arrows with the Goblin Gang and to bait out their Fireball and Poison with your Hunter. So then if they have nothing for the minion horde and you release an Electric Giant plus Miner to tag for the minion horde while your Earthquake breaks through buildings, your opponent's plans of defending will come crashing down. I love pushing up the ranks quick, so I'm going to rate this deck an 8.5 out of 10 because it's got a super strong synergy. It can get damage with the Miner, the Electric Giant, or Goldenite Tornado, and also the devastating minion horde. It's not something that any player would ever expect. The treasure of today's video is Toxic's Electric Giant deck because it shocks absolutely everyone. This minion horde machine will take tower as soon as your opponent makes one slight slip up. And when you're trying to rush up the ranks, it's the perfect deck to play. All the other decks today were a ton of fun as well, so if you guys have more suggestions, let me know down below in the comment section. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more daily videos, and have an incredible rest of your day.